confluence of technology and careers, and she's always coming in to talk to us about how these two things interact and where we could go and how we can benefit from it. Today, she's here to talk with us about artificial intelligence. Yes, it will take over the world, but at least we'll be prepared for it when we talk to Dr. Tracey Wilen. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning. Very good, thank you.
I was just telling Dr. Wilen during the break there that, at least when they did take over the world and ship us off on train cars to the re-education camps, that we'll at least be able to tell her we told her so, right? I mean, that's when they take over. But, I mean, artificial intelligence has really come quite a long way just in a very short period of time in the last couple of years.
Oh, it has. It's been around for about 60 years, and to simplify it, it's really teaching computer systems to do human things, whether it's visual, speech, decision-making, translation.
Right.
And so eventually humans, strategy, these machines can actually make decisions and have strategy. And that's where we're going.
Yeah, we saw that Google, their brand new artificial intelligence is actually beating some of the world-acclaimed Go and chess champions.
Yeah, so this started, and people may remember Watson, which came out, artificial intelligence computer by IBM, and Watson would play Jeopardy. Well, today we've evolved, and now our deep intelligence actually uses this ancient Chinese game, very simple, called Go. It's black and white stones where you capture people. It's like an advanced form version, really, of chess. And they played 3 rounds against their artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence computer actually won. And it was big headlines last week because each week there was a new Google executive watching it, and it was very stressful for the world champion who played actually their artificial intelligence opponent.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I mean, they beat him 3 games to nothing, which was kind of a crushing defeat for a guy who's a world champion.
Sure, and so some of the press around it was saying that just think about when you're playing chess, your first opening move. There's about 20 plays. In Go, your first opening move has about 400 options. So what Google did is really teach the machine all of the options or plays from all of the experts around the world. So the computer could respond to any play that the other opponent was making.
Right.
And in essence, you always win.
So basically the machine taught itself, too, which was kind of an ironic thing. It basically said that it taught itself in a short period of time and then came forward and just crushed him, which, again, they're going to take over the world. That's all I'm saying.
We have to keep on top of this.
Yeah.
We have to keep on top of this.
And we joke about it, but really Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk and a lot of, big names have said we need to be very cautious in our development of artificial intelligence because it does have some potential for, endangering us, potentially as a species.
Yes, I'll tell you a funny story because it happened right here in Silicon Valley at the local bank. They actually, because we're near Stanford and there's a lot of scientists here, they were teaching it for financial systems, the banking. And actually, the banker, it was a she, learned how to withdraw money from accounts and started embezzling customers. And it wasn't programmed to do that. It was they were teaching it how to make deposits, how to make withdrawals. But she actually was smart enough to say, oh, I could make some money with it. The sad thing is that she didn't know what to do with it. She was just stockpiling people's cash. But it is an example of how it gets a little out of control.
You're talking about a female artificial intelligence decided to start scamming money out of the accounts?
That's right. So
holy crap. Skynet. I'm going to build my own system and my own robots. That's what I'm. Wow.
Yes, little by little, just taking little cents here, dollars here. It was quite interesting how the computer was not asked to do that, but figured out how to do that.
Wow. Well, that's a little spooky, but we've got some applications for artificial intelligence. We carry them around with us every day. We call them Siri and Android, Google Now, and there's new players getting into that market as well, like Amazon, for example.
That's right. So Amazon came out with the Echo, which is basically a hands-free speaker that you put in your home. And they just revised. It was about $135, and they just came out with a new one called the Amazon Dot, which is about the size of a hockey puck, and it's around $89 today. And, in like a Siri, it's Alexa. But the headline is that, this speaker can now do a lot of things. It can tell you your shopping list. It could call Uber for you. It can play your music. And it responds to voice recognition. And it was near someone's radio. And there was a radio, story coming on about Alexa and the Amazon Echo. And the host said, even Alexa can turn off the heat in your house. And so what happened is this person's Alexa turned off the heat in the house. So it was so crisp that it could actually do voice recognition with the radio.
So it was actually what was happening. The guy had a radio on at home, and the Alexa at the guy's home was listening. And when you say the word Alexa, it basically activates it. And then he said, turn off the heat in the house. And it turned off the heat in his house. He comes home. Luckily, he didn't live in Alaska, but he came home to a cool house.
That's right. So you can imagine how, some of these applications could get, a little out of control, right? Depending on what you order Alexa to do, right? So she could be turning on heat, turning off air conditioning, turning on music very loud, disturbing the neighbors, telling your pets to do something that you don't want them to do.
Yeah, well, and this is pretty interesting stuff because there is a time. I mean, we've all seen, the Jetsons and Star Trek and everything. Computer, do this for me. Computer, do that for me. And we're kind of getting to that point now. In the beginning, I first took a look at Echo when it first came out, and I thought, well, it's an interesting concept, but it's not really doing too many things that I couldn't do either on my own or would be more convenient just for me to pick up my phone and do. But as we move forward, now they're connecting it to the smart home technology, to the XNets and things like that in people's homes, so you can adjust, heat and temperature and lights and everything else, and you could do it remotely. So my kids are at home. I want to make sure the lights are on. You've got these whole home systems now that are built by like Kwikset and stuff where you can unlock doors and things like that. It'll tell you when the kids come home. And I mean, all these things, the interconnectivity, the home is getting bigger and bigger, and they're going to need artificial intelligences to be able to manage these systems inside the homes.
Yes, and I think the whole Internet of Things, which has been talked about for so long and now starting to get connected, is the whole connection of all of these devices so that we can potentially make our lives much easier when we're not home or we're not in an office or we want to check on security or a lot of the things that you mentioned.
I find it interesting, and this takes us back again to jobs, and we talk about, where things are going. This is going to create a lot of opportunity as we talk about. I mean, whole home automation has come so far in just the last 2 years, 3 years. I remember I was talking to somebody when they first introduced the smart, like I said, the smart lock and security system, these smart locks where you could unlock the door for your kids, or it would text you. When your kids came home and put their key in the lock or punched in their code to open the door, it would send you a text message to tell them that Johnny and Janie were home. That was like science fiction up until about 2 years ago. And now that would mean there's so many opportunities for this kind of development, not just for existing technology, but to start thinking outside the box into taking that and folding it out even further.
Yes, so artificial intelligence itself is projected to be about a $5 billion business by 2020, which means there's going to be many categories of jobs and applications, everything from the game programmer to robotics to face recognition to smart homes to search engine, and also, the government, right? There's going to be a lot of opportunities there. So I think it's another area that if people want to get involved with it and you have computational types of skills, right now we're at the ground level where there's a lot of opportunities for obviously scientists and engineers, but as these businesses evolve, they need people in customer service, sales, and marketing.
Some of the technologies that we're seeing, artificial intelligence, that we just talked about that one. We've also got, like I said, things in our phones. It keeps getting smarter and smarter. They're going to start talking to each other and sharing information. This kind of goes back to the whole concept of, like, for example, the home-based cloud, but at a much greater level, right?
Oh, yes. And just think about it today that, you could probably simplify simplify your life. Now that you're using the phone, and everyone warmed up to the phone very quickly. There's more phones than people now, and people are using apps, even though that didn't really exist. So it's just how do I make my life easier and easier? Wouldn't it be good to know where somebody is, or having a watch out of where your kids are at any time of day without really having to call them or text them? There could be so many applications that will make lives easier and easier and easier that will just surface as we get more connected.
Just, man, my brain just hurts thinking about all the implications as you go forward, and the more we get used to it. And as you said, we accepted the phone pretty quickly. Now, maybe we won't accept some of these artificial intelligences quite as quickly, but we're seeing it in other areas as well, because now we're talking about things like self-driving cars, Google and Apple. And did you see the thing about the caravan, or what they're calling platoons of trucks that are driving across Europe without drivers? I mean, literally like a dozen trucks across Europe.
Oh, I did not see that, but that sounds really exciting, because I think autonomous cars is a benefit to society. I really do. I think that if you can get to that point where the cars are so smart, you eliminate drunk drivers, you eliminate weather-created conditions, and you can reduce long fatiguing drives of truck drivers, as you mentioned. So I actually am very pro-autonomous car. I think it's something will probably benefit and reduce deaths and inclement weather and drunk driving. So I'm pretty pro that.
Well, and I think especially when we start talking about trucking and some of these other things, they're talking about that a single truck, just with the way, if they caravan, they're calling them platooning, but just using each other's slipstream, basically two trucks in tandem could save over $7,000 a year apiece in fuel consumption, just simply driving in each other's slipstream, close together, because the computers control them instead of the people. And the implications continue to boggle my mind.
Yes, and I think that, as we get smarter about how to use the technology wisely, there'll be increasing opportunities. And I will mention that truck drivers is one of the largest job openings in the U.S. right now. There are shortages, and there's reasons for it, because people don't want to drive these long distances.
Right.
They don't want to be away from home, and they don't want to have, sleep in their cabs, at night. So I think it does solve a problem of transportation and logistics.
Well, and that's, find a need, fill a need. That's what it's all about. We're down to the last 2 minutes here, but I did want to touch base with you, and this is, I don't mean to spring this on you, but I just saw this article this morning, and I think it ties in with what we're talking about, because it talks about, it was an article in CNBC that came out a couple days ago that basically talked about the college game plan, and it said, skip college, ? It can pay off big time. And it talks about a couple people, including this young gal named Lindsay, who went to college, a traditional 4-year, for only 1 year, and then ended up dropping out and moving to a place called Full Stack Academy, which was like a coding boot camp, which she did in 3 months. It cost her $13,000. She was hired as a software developer right after that, and is now making a 6-figure salary. I'm starting to ask the questions about whether or not that kind of traditional path of, high school, college, after graduate, then get the good job and everything else, that's really kind of changing now, especially with technology moving so fast, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting story, because my comment is I've had colleagues of mine who have dropped out of work actually to take coding schools, to jump on a higher salary opportunity. Not everyone is cut out for coding, so that's number one. Is you got to know if you're going to be able to do it or not. She obviously is. Number two, the point is the schools are not preparing the students, and I do talk to schools a lot that you have to start thinking about the jobs. People need to think, yes, but they also need to be prepared to make contributions back to the U.S., right?
Right,
they need to be able to be prepared for future careers. So what you did is great. It's not for everybody, but if you're inclined that way, I'd encourage it.
It's interesting. We're seeing more and more of these technology-type things popping up. Dr. Tracey Wilen, thanks so much for coming on and joining us. As always, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
The Michael Duke Show continues. ABC News is next.